What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we've got a new gameplay features trailer that Codemasters have just dropped on their YouTube channel, so we're going to review that now. We're going to kind of break it down and see what we can find hidden within each single frame. Go really nerdy and in-depth to see if there's any little hidden Easter eggs or anything that we can look into further in terms of the career mode. Now, they did show off some UI screens and just interesting cutscenes for the new Breaking Point game mode. So, yeah, information on that is very scarce. So, this will be a good video to maybe have a little taste of what Breaking Point, the new career mode game mode, has in store. But before we get into that, make sure you check out the video from earlier today. I did a video with the real-life Devin Butler, Adam Saunderson, who plays Devin Butler. We did a race. He crashed into a few people. We got to know him on a personal level, and overall it was a good video, so go check it out. But without further ado, let's get into this new trailer. So let's get into it then. We start off with a few gameplay cutscenes. Lewis Hamilton morphing his way across the screen, and then a few, racing shots. I'm gonna stop when we get to the important bits that we want to freeze frame. Nice side pod glitch there for the Alfa Romeo. Here we go. Our first look at Devin Butler driving for Haas. Now, when you pick the Breaking Point game mode, you only have the choice of 5 teams when you get to F1. So you start off in F2. You play out the story as Jason Ackerman. God, I should really know. Okay, no, the person I was thinking of was Casper Ackerman, who is a mature driver and someone who's kind of fighting to be in the sport of F1. The main character is Aiden Jackson. So you start off in F2 and you got to work your way up through the ranks. And Devin Butler basically is one of the people who's standing in your way of that path to a good team, the path to glory, to success in open wheel motorsport. So, first look at him there, and you can see they use cutscenes in the paddock, which is really, really cool. You can see the Ferrari there. There's Red Bull with a bunch of AlphaTauri guys standing out the front of it. So this part is just emphasizing the on and off track drama, not only in the racing world, coming up against Devin Butler, clashing with him on circuit potentially and off the circuit, but the off track drama extends into your relationships outside of the sport, with your family, with colleagues, with people that you have to work with. This character here, who I'm guessing on the right, is your dad. And maybe he's just giving some advice, how to deal with the pressures of Formula 1 or F2, and, going from there. So it's really, really cool. They're trying to follow the FIFA, the Journey game mode. And it's the first time this has really come to an F1 game before. So I'm really, really excited to see what they actually do with this. And here's the on-track drama. AlphaTauri drivers coming together. Front wings have been lost. That is some interesting front wing damage there, if I do say so myself. There's only a tiny bit of the front wing still attached to the nose. But it's a little bit different there. And then we get a bit of a shove by our teammates. That's a reaction to after the race. So whatever you do on circuit will be will have consequences in the paddock. But a lot of these will be orchestrated cutscenes and scenarios that you get placed into within F2, F1 2020, and F1 2021. So you got 3 seasons in the Breaking Point game mode. It only runs for 3 seasons. But it's nice to see that they run through a set storyline. You go through and drive multiple cars from different years, which again is somewhat of an ultimate career mode. But again, good to see. So we see Esteban Ocon, of all people, coming in to break up the fight. I don't know if you guys remember Ocon and Max Verstappen having some fisticuffs at Brazil 2018, I think it was. Good to see that Ocon is, I guess, on the other side and trying to prevent fights from happening. We get some F2 cutscenes set across 3 seasons. Like I explained, you start off in F2, you pick a team. Here we're getting our first look at some driver press conferences. There's Esteban Ocon once again, Lando Norris, and you in the AlphaTauri car. And then that cuts to here. This is the F1 2020 season. So you're halfway through your career at this point in this game mode. Bearing in mind, this is separate to the driver career. This is separate to my team. This is a new game mode for those who are confused. But 3 seasons. And yeah, it looks really cool. I really hope that they've voiced the likes of Ocon, Norris, hopefully others. Because it would be great to see that personality come through. So, you know, the majority of the development for this game would have been done over lockdown last year. So, they would have had good access to the F1 drivers. Let's hope that some of them are voice actors. Or maybe even better. Here we get more cutscenes. This is Devin Butler in the Haas. Quite fitting. He sneaks up on you. Gives you a tap on the shoulder. I think this is Casper Ackerman, though, on the left. Your experienced teammate, because he does look a little bit old to be an F1. He's a bit ancient. Probably not as ancient as me, but we move. More cutscenes going on. The drivers look a little bit more lifelike and real life-like. Don't take the graphics as gospel here, because I literally screen recorded it off of YouTube, so processing and stuff will cut the quality down, but when you play the full game, it will be a lot better. So, 5 selectable teams. Like I said, you can't choose the top teams in F1. I believe it's the bottom 5 teams. So, we've got AlphaTauri, Racing Point, Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Haas. So, there we go. This right here is a nice little slide. And they catch it very, very quickly. The sparks flying, as well as smoke. Hopefully, that's not CGI'd in, that's actual legit gameplay footage. And we can see a little bit more of that. Nice evidence of the sparks there. And then this one right here in Canada. The Wall of Champions final chicane. The camera work here is actually really good. I like the placement of it. But then they follow along the floor of the car, where you've got a bit of a slide and sparks, and you go right up against the wall. That's what I love to see in actual gameplay of the F1 games. And it looks like the profile of that final chicane is a little bit different. Normally there was just a grey tyre bundles all the way down, and it went deeper past where the F1 2021 white signage is. So it looks like the profile of that has changed. Maybe you can get caught up on this pillar that kind of starts for what I'm assuming is the concrete part. If that's the case, that's going to be a big yikes if you hit that. Anyway, 2-player career mode is in F1 2021. So I'm going to be partnering up with a friend, a fellow YouTuber, and we're going to start off in a lower down team, and we're going to work our way up to the top. It's going to be a live stream series on my Twitch, which will be uploaded to my YouTube eventually. Well, not eventually, but swiftly afterwards. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, this is really cool. You can start off on the same team, build up the team to be a top team, I think, or I hope. It looks like you can do department upgrades. I'm hoping this is still the co-op that we're looking at. Or alternatively, you can start off in a different team and vie for contracts, vie for better rides throughout the course of the career mode journey, which is really, really cool. I hope that if you pick the same team, you both can change teams as you please. Hopefully that's not a restriction there. Here's a look at the development path and vehicle comparison. They've got that central line, which reflects where you are, which really illustrates what the gap is to the top-end teams and the bottom-end teams, which really helps paint the picture of where you sit in the overall ladder. Now, this hasn't changed all too much. There is new graphics there for the McLaren logo on the background, which is nice and clean. Here you can see the driver perk screen, and this is a first look at what the driver ratings are. So it looks like Daniel Ricciardo is a 97 rated driver, and there's a new component that makes up your rating now in F1 2021. That's called focus, and that's dependent on your response to the press, upgrades that you make, how the form of your team is going. It takes a lot of factors into consideration that are all derived within the game, and that focus level, the higher that it is, it helps drive the AI's driver level to maximize their potential. So if they've got 100 focus, they're going to be maxing out all their stats to their fullest ability. But if their focus is down low, like towards 0, that even though they'll have 92 pace, they might be driving at someone who has like 70 pace or 60 pace. It remains to be seen how effective that's going to be at this stage. I mean, you can see the pluses for having good focus at this point, but it's hard to say whether that's down to good focus levels or whether that's down to facility upgrades, because we know that doing driver training can also boost their stats up. So that's something we'll have a bit more clarification on when we actually play the full game. This is the engine screen. You have to manage your engine over the course of the season. This is nothing new to you guys. Free components for the most part. So look after your engines. Make sure you're doing those reliability upgrades to make them last longer. Here's the loading in screen. Nothing really doing there. 4,600 resource points. Whoever the hell this is, they need to spend them because that's wasted potential right there. Moving on. Some more gameplay at Spain. Between the Alpine and the McLaren. Then we get to a resource point screen, which shows you development boosts that you get when you do more practice programs. So if you get purple, you'll get discounts on future upgrades, depending on what department you focused on, and it makes things cheaper, which is a nice mechanic. As well as that, the upgrades are a lot more visually pleasing this year. They've done away with the development tree, which was like a spider web, and things are a little bit more linear in the way that you upgrade your components. So everything is kind of in a straight line. So here's the screen. On the top end, you'll have front downforce for aero. Down the bottom, you'll have rear downforce, and then you scroll down further, you'll have drag upgrades, and you can actually look at what actual part you're upgrading and see what it looks like. And that's really, really cool. It tells you when the upgrade's going to go on. Gives you the failure chance, the build time, and any modifiers that you've got relative to how many upgrades you've done and how you've been speaking about your team in the press. All components which are really, really awesome for the managerial side of running a Formula 1 team. Here is the practice programs. You can see you earn points based on how many you do. I think there's less practice programs this year. Yeah, there's less practice programs this year. You can see race strategy is the first one, time management, and then track acclimatization. So 3 different ones, and depending on how well you do, you get development boosts based on how well you score, like I kind of already explained in the video. More cutscenes. We've got Into the Barrier. Do we have Into the Barrier? No, that's Harry Jacks. And Amos Lorito, F1 esports driver. No Tiametmarduk to be seen. Some cool pit stop animations. I wish they brought these back, to be honest. I don't know if you guys remember on F1 2012, when you had a pit stop, it would actually cut to a different kind of replay camera. But that was before we had manual pit stops, so maybe not really worth it anymore. More cutscenes. That is Russia in the middle sector. Good little guess there. Nice graphics. New season. Driver stats. Which will constantly update throughout the season based on how the real-life drivers do. So, most likely Daniel Ricciardo is going to get a bit of a nerf based on how poorly he's been doing in the McLaren, unfortunately. There's the AMG GTR Mercedes safety car, which we've seen in some of my gameplay videos. Early gameplay of F1 2021. Go check it out. And it looks so, so good. Digital Deluxe Edition. If you get the good version of the game, you get 7 icon drivers. Michael Schumacher, Alan Prost, Nico Rosberg, Jenson Button, David Coulthard. The list goes on. And you can actually sign those guys to your team, which is kind of interesting. because I think I might go the other way. I'm not going to rule out anyone just yet, but Ayrton Senna you can pick as well. I don't know. For me, it's a bit weird to have Ayrton Senna drive for your My Team, considering he's no longer with us. But someone like a Rosberg or a Button, who may come out of retirement to join your team if you throw them enough money, maybe. That's a bit more feasible. But I think for the most part, I might go for a young driver. Anyway, going through, that's a new livery for one of the My Team cars to choose from. Looks pretty slick. Applies to the driver's suit and gloves. I actually like that. I really like that. And this is the real season start feature, which based on when you start playing the game or start your career mode, for example, where we are at now, it's the French Grand Prix. You can say, I want to start at France, and the first 6-7 races are simulated, whatever it is, and development is taken into consideration, your points are taken into consideration, and you start from there, which is really cool. A feature which has come left of field, but a welcome one. Might be... Oh, no, we're not done yet. We've got this little tracking shot of what looks like your My Team facility. This doesn't look like any Formula One facility that I've seen in real life. So I'm guessing this is ours. And I'm guessing this is like the top tier level facility or factory. You have to be absolute baller status, like Tony Stark level richness to be able to afford something like this, which is really cool. And here's a nice little showroom to showcase. You have 2 cars. I'm guessing the F1 cars will be somewhat similar there. We now move on to the My Team section of the trailer. Some new cutscenes there as your driver has a look at some data on the laptop. That's just for show. Department events. So, depending on where you are in the championship, certain things will happen and they will cause you to have to make a decision. So, for example, your simulator might break or something or need a software update, and you've got to pay X amount of money to fix it. And if you do, well, you're going to have less of a pain with dealing with your facilities as opposed to if you were to leave it, for example. I don't fully know how that works yet. None of us do. So here's an example of one of the department events. This is where the staff get burnt out. It's time we had a good chat about our work rates. Whilst we are doing extremely well and hitting all of our targets, we are seeing increasing rates of stress and burnout among our staff. They all want to see us do well, and whilst hitting our deadlines is good, we don't want to risk sudden decline in performance due to overworked staff. I suggest we have a small circuit breaker in production to give staff the chance to cool down. Thoughts? Now, I'm going to run my F1 team like Emperor Palpatine runs the Death Star. I shall ask them to double their efforts. Otherwise, they die. Pressure makes diamonds. No slacking off in my factory. A big charity is currently looking for help after coming under hard times. This could be a great opportunity to increase our image on the international stage, and we could send some of our agents to arrange for a big charity tour of our facilities. It would be costly, but we could reap the rewards. After all, it is for a good cause. 100k for that? Get in the bin. Now, why are you messing around with stuff like this? This is why you have burnout. You're doing charity work instead of actually making the car fast. This will be interesting to come up with these, to come up against these pivotal moments over the course of the season. Management is going to be stepped up to a whole new level. Here's the new sponsors. We don't need to go into too much detail with that. We'll deal with that when we get to the full game. But we have Lewis Hamilton rated 94. So the 97 rated Ricciardo must have been a few seasons in, potentially, with facility upgrades. Here he's a 90. Pierre Gasly 90. Max Verstappen 94. Bottas 91. Any surprises? Raikkonen's pretty high. Norris 89. Where is Carlos Sainz? 88. Yeah, Lando was rated quite high this time. Interesting. That will continue to develop as the course of the season unfolds. And then we have some more cutscenes. You winning a Grand Prix. Here's the UI as you get into single player or 2-player career mode. Here's the breaking point. Maybe that's not your dad. Maybe that's the team owner or something. Who knows? I'm guessing with dad. Old Daddy-O. Let me know who you think that guy is. Not a clue, in my opinion. So here's the multiplayer screen. You can see social play, which is kind of like unranked now. When you get into social play, I think you'll get different options based on what you want to do. And I believe it's like a hopper system. If you want to jump into some short races or longer races. And then ranked play is how it was. We got split screen, weekly event, and leagues. I believe that's correct, what I just said, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But F1 Esports on the right, which we'll get into in a second. Here is the upgrades, which I spoke about earlier, and how they're all in a linear kind of line. So in order to get to the next upgrade, you have to go through the minors to get to the majors kind of thing. And there are some prerequisite upgrades, I believe. So ones that are locked out, you might have to do upgrades in other areas to unlock that, or do particular practice programs. So even though you might have the dosh to upgrade, doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to do everything at once. So yeah, moving across the chassis, and I just love how they've outlined everything. It's a very artistically, visually inclined system, which is nice, and we're going to utilize with those thumbnails, I have no doubt. Practice programs, again, we've already seen this. This is the new practice program minigame. If you don't want to actually manually do them on circuit, you can set the game to do it for you, and you only have a certain amount of time for a practice session. You'll see which ones take up the most time and have the most benefits, and which ones have a higher or lower success rate based on what you want to go for. So it's pretty cool. We have different handling modes. Casual is where you've got all assists on, auto braking, etc. If you fall off the racetrack, then it'll reset the car to track for you. Standard is kind of what we know now at this stage, and expert is the new one where they've upped the damage model to have higher rates of failure and stuff like that. No assists, all that jargon. So the game's not that much harder to drive on expert. It's pretty much the same, just a higher chance of things going wrong is my understanding. And here we have split screen, which is a returning feature for F1 2021. So if you've got a brother or sister or mate, you can invite them around and you guys can play on the same console, on the same platform together. Online multiplayer, it's just a bunch of gameplay. There's absolutely nothing to gauge from that. No idea about online ranks, leaderboards, new features, etc. just yet. Hopefully Codemasters are saving that in the locker for later on. And esports, there's absolutely nothing you can gather from that. It's just, we have esports in the game. Come have a go, basically. And I'm pretty sure that is the game. We've got Charles Leclerc celebrating a victory. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton on the podium. F1 2021, out on July 16th, 2021. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. We're going to do lots of stuff on the channel. Career mode, 2-player career mode, breaking point, online races, league races, setups, hot laps, everything. This is the place to be for F1 content. Hopefully you'll join me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.